The ground shook. A loud roar echoed through the thick purple forest of Zilari Prime. Giant birds flew from the trees, screeching in fear. Every creature in the area went silent except the one that made the sound. Apex. That was its name, or what? The alien locals called it. A massive beast covered in black scale-like armor. Its jaws could bite through starship metal. Its tail could crush trees like twigs. And worst of all, it was nearly impossible to kill. On Zilari Prime, Apex was the king, and no one, not even the brave Zilari warriors, dared to face it. Except today. Someone did. From the top of the cliff, a young Zilari girl watched with wide glowing eyes. Her name was Karel. She was dressed in light armor made of crystal hide, and her long violet hair whipped in the wind. She had never seen anything like this. Down below, a lone human stood calm, still, and fearless. Karel squinted. Was he smiling? The human had no armor, no weapons, just strange tools strapped to his belt and a long metal stick on his back. He stepped forward, right toward the apex, like he was greeting an old friend. Karel's heart raced. Fool, she whispered. He's going to die, but he didn't run. He didn't scream. He did something that froze Karel's blood. He charged. The apex roared, the sound so loud it shook the trees again. It raised its claws as long as blades and swiped at the human. Karel covered her mouth, waiting to see blood. Instead, she saw the impossible. The human rolled under the attack, then jumped onto the creature's leg. He pulled something from his belt, a glowing tool, and stabbed it deep into the beast's joint. Sparks flew. The apex screamed in pain. Karel gasped. No one has ever made it bleed. The beast swung again. The human flew back, hit the ground, and rolled. One of his arms twisted at an unnatural angle. Broken. Karel stepped back, afraid. It's over. But the human growled and, with a deep breath, grabbed his broken arm and snapped it back into place right there, like it was nothing. Karel felt dizzy. He fixed his own bones. The apex lunged forward. The human dodged and pulled the metal stick from his back. It extended into a spear with a sharp, shining tip. With a powerful yell, he drove the spear into the creature's neck, right into a soft spot. The beast screamed. It shook, thrashed, then finally collapsed. Dead. For a moment, there was only silence. Karel didn't move. Her mind refused to believe what she just saw. The apex was dead, and the human stood over its body, wiping blood from his mouth. Then he did something even more shocking. He cut a chunk of meat from the beast's shoulder and took a bite. Karel's jaw dropped. No way. She stared in horror. On Zilari Prime, the apex was more than just a predator. It was sacred, untouchable, a nightmare made real. No one hunted it. No one ate it. But the human was chewing with a smile on his face, like it was a juicy piece of steak. Karel stumbled down the hill. She had to see him up close. She had to understand. By the time she reached the base of the hill, the human was sitting beside a small fire, cooking more meat on a skewer. He looked up and grinned. Want some? Karel stepped back. You're insane, he laughed. Probably, but this tastes like victory. She pointed at the dead beast. That was Apex. Do you know what that means? I do now, he said. Tough fight. Good meal. Karel stared at him, her heart pounding. Who was this human? Where did he come from? How did he do this? And why? Why was he acting like it was nothing? She shook her head. You've just declared war. He raised an eyebrow. On what? She looked toward the trees. Hundreds of glowing eyes now stared from the shadows. Other beasts, other predators. And the Zilari elders would surely send warriors to punish this insult. she said, quietly, on the planet. The wind blew hard, carrying the scent of blood across the forest. Carol crouched behind a fallen log, her eyes locked on the human. Smoke from his small fire curled into the air, mixing with the sharp scent of cooked meat. The apex's giant body still lay nearby, untouched by scavengers. Even they feared to go near it. But he did in single quotes to Dium and took another bite, chewed slowly, and let out a satisfied hum. Tastes like roast beef, just with a spicy kick. Carell had never seen anything like him. Her own kind trained for years before facing a beast half the apex's size. Even the bravest warriors stayed away from full-grown ones. Yet here was a man, no armor, no backup, no fear eating it like dinner. She finally stepped out from hiding. "Do you really not feel fear?" The human looked up at her and smiled. "Of course I do, but I never let it win." His answer puzzled her. Silari weren't weak, but they respected danger. Fear kept them alive. This man was different. Carell walked closer, circling the fire. "What are you? A soldier? A hunter?" "Neither," he said, tossing her a cooked chunk of meat. "Name's Grant. I'm an explorer." Kind of. She didn't catch the meat. It hit the ground beside her. "Boot, you killed our world's most dangerous creature. You just insulted our laws." Grant leaned back. "Didn't see any warning signs. Looked like a hungry beast trying to make me dinner. You killed a god in our culture. Then maybe your gods are too hungry," he said with a smirk. Carell eyes narrowed. He wasn't just fearless, he was dangerously calm. Either he was mad, or humans were far tougher than she'd ever imagined. Before she could answer, the ground shook again. Carell spun around. Far across the trees, she saw massive shapes moving, 3 of them. Not apex, something worse. Stalkers. Sleek, black. Predators with long legs and acid-dripping jaws. They hunted in silence, unlike the apex. They had smelled the blood. Carell drew her blade. "They're coming. You started a chain reaction." Grant stood and stretched. "Good. I could use some dessert." "You're insane," she snapped. "We can't fight them. Not 3. Not without backup." "I don't need backup. I've got me." Carell felt her chest tighten. No plan. No fear. Just bold words and a spear. He wasn't even sweating. Stalkers appeared, tall and thin, their glowing blue eyes locked on the firelight. They crept in from all sides, fangs dripping, muscles tensed. Carell raised her blade. "I hope your courage is real, human. Because if we die, your name will be cursed in our history." Grant smirked. "If we die, I'm not worried about history." The first stalker lunged. Carell dodged, swinging her blade, but it was too fast. It slashed her arm. She cried out, dropping to one knee. Another leaped over the fire toward Grant, but Grant spun, used the fire skewer, and jabbed the creature in the throat. It hissed and fell back. Smoke rose from the wound. Fire hurt them. Grant glanced at Carell. "Use the flames." Carell grabbed a burning stick and swung it. The stalker near her hissed and backed away. Its skin sizzled where the flame touched. A plan formed in her mind. "Get behind me." She shouted. Together, they moved back to back, using the fire to keep the stalkers at bay. But it wouldn't last. The creatures circled, learning, waiting for weakness. Then Grant did something bold again. He sprinted toward the dead apex. Carell shouted, "What are you doing?" He grabbed the apex's tail and dragged it toward the fire. Blood smeared the ground. The scent grew thick. The stalkers froze. "Come on," Grant whispered. "Smell that." They did. The beasts pounced, but not on them. On the apex's corpse. Smell of fresh meat was too strong. The predators forgot the humans and began fighting over the body. Carell stood frozen. "You outsmarted them." Grant wiped his hands. Predators don't waste fresh kills. Give them a better meal and they forget the small snacks. She looked at him, truly seeing him for the first time. You are not like any being I've met. Grant shrugged. We humans adapt fast. The firelight flickered on his face. Behind them, the stalkers tore into the apex corpse like rabid wolves. Carell knew more would come. The forest had awakened. And now that the apex was dead, the balance was broken, but this human wasn't afraid. And maybe, just maybe, she could learn from him. Carell stood beside Grant, watching the stalkers rip into the apex's body. The sound of tearing flesh and snapping bone echoed through the forest. The fire crackled softly beside them, but it felt like the only calm thing left in the world. This changes everything, she whispered. Grant looked at her. Because I killed that beast? No, she said. Because the forest knows. The trees around them had grown quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no insects. Not even the wind moved. The planet was watching. Carell turned and began gathering her gear. We need to leave. Now? Grant raised an eyebrow. Why? I thought dinner was just getting started, she glared at him. You don't understand this world. It's alive. It's connected. The apex was not just a predator, it was a guardian. Its death will unbalance the wild. Grant frowned, serious now. You mean more beasts? Worse, she said. The planet reacts when a guardian falls. It sends punishment. He strapped on his gear. Then let's meet it head on. Carell shook her head. No, we run. If we're lucky, we make it to the cliffs before nightfall. They moved quickly through the forest, following narrow trails lit only by the glow of Carell's blade and the faint light of twin moons rising above. Every branch snapped too loud. Every shadow fell too deep. As they walked, Carell spoke. I was trained since birth to fear the apex. It hunted my village when I was a child. We lost many, and yet you killed it in one day. Grant glanced sideways. We don't really have beasts like that on Earth, but we've had our share of monsters. She paused. What kind of monsters? He looked up at the sky. The kind that wear a suit and smile while pushing a button that ends cities. Carell didn't understand all the words, but she understood the tone. He was not a wild fool. He was forged by worse things. They walked in silence for a while. Then the trees began to hum. A low, vibrating sound not from wind. From under the ground, Carell froze. It's here. The dirt near their feet cracked. Roots burst upward like claws. Vines shot from trees and twisted into long, spiked tendrils. The forest came alive. Grant jumped back. What is that? The planet's defense, Carell shouted. It's not just animals. It's the land itself. The tendrils lunged toward them. Grant pulled out his glowing spear and slashed. One away, but three more came. One wrapped around his leg. Carell sliced it quickly, freeing him. They ran. Branches slapped them. Vines snapped at their backs, but they kept moving. Carell led the way, leaping over fallen logs and ducking under tangled trees. Behind them, the vines chased like snakes. They reached a rocky slope. Carell jumped onto a stone ledge and turned to help Grant climb. He grabbed her arm and she pulled him up just as a vine cracked like a whip below them. They sat, panting. Carell looked down the cliffside. The vines were writhing, unable to climb the hard rock. She whispered, "Safe for now." Grant leaned back, grinning. "Your planet fights dirty. It protects its balance," she said. "We broke it." Grant stared at her. "You mean I broke it?" Carell met his eyes. "No, we broke it. I could have stopped you. I didn't. I watched." They sat in silence again. This time, the quiet felt heavy, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Carell finally said, "You need to leave." "This world, Grant." He shook his head. I don't run from my messes, she sighed. You think you can fight a planet? He looked at her and smiled faintly. No, but I can survive one. Carell blinked. That was not arrogance. That was a promise. She stood and looked across the dark forest. Then we go to my people. If anyone can help restore balance, it's the elders. Grant stood beside her. Lead the way. But, in the distance, above the trees, a glowing green light appeared in the sky. Carell's face turned pale. The planet's eye. She whispered. It's watching us now. Grant frowned. Good. Let it see what humans do when they're cornered. Carell turned to him slowly. You don't want to challenge it, human. Grant's voice was steady. I'm not here to challenge. I'm here to help. But if it wants a fight, he tapped the glowing core of his spear. Then I'll show it why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Carell and Grant reached the outer walls of her village. By dawn, the village sat inside a canyon of glowing crystal rock. Buildings were carved into stone walls, and strange lights floated in the air like spirits. Zilari guards stood at the gates, their long spears crackling with energy. When they saw Carell, they saluted. But when they saw Grant, their faces darkened. One guard stepped forward. Why have you brought a human here, Carell? She answered calmly, because he is the reason the Apex is dead. Whispers broke out. The other guards tightened their grips on their weapons. Grant raised his hands. Not here to cause trouble. The guards sneered. You already have. They were led inside. Villagers stopped and stared. Some whispered. Others backed away in fear. A few children pointed at Grant like he was a ghost. Stay close to me, Carell said. Don't speak unless spoken to. Grant chuckled softly. That's going to be hard. They entered the Hall of Elders, a giant chamber inside the rock. Glowing vines hung from the ceiling. At the end of the room sat 5 figures old, wise and powerful. Their robes shimmered like starlight. Their faces were hard as stone. The central elder leaned forward. Carell, you bring the one who disturbed the balance? Carell knelt. Yes, elder. I brought him to explain. Grant remained standing. One of the elders frowned. He does not kneel? Grant replied, I don't kneel unless I've done something wrong. Silence. Carell whispered, Grant, please. But the elders were already rising. The central elder's voice echoed through the chamber. You killed the Apex. You burned its flesh. You ate its sacred body. You caused the stalkers to rage. You stirred the roots of the earth. Another elder added, The Eye watches now because of you. Grant stepped forward. I didn't come here looking for a fight. That thing attacked me. I defended myself. I didn't know it was holy. The third elder stood. Ignorance does not erase the wound. Carell stood beside him. He saved my life, elders. And he didn't run when the forest rose. He fought. He survived. That means something. The central elder said slowly, Only one thing can calm the planet's fury now. Carell looked up. What is it? The elder raised one long bony finger and pointed it at Grant. A life must be given to repay the one that was taken. Carell gasped. You want to kill him? Grant didn't flinch. So, you want to trade? The elder nodded. A balance. Carell stepped between them. No, that won't fix anything. The forest will still rage. The stalkers will still hunt. Killing him changes nothing. One elder said coldly, It will show the planet we understand its pain. Grant stepped forward. You want to make peace with your planet by killing me? The elders did not reply. He looked around the glowing room, then back at Carell. Well, he said quietly, guess I finally found a place where I'm too human to belong. He turned to leave, but Carell grabbed his arm. Wait. She looked at the elders. What if there's another way? The room fell silent. The central elder's eyes narrowed. Speak. Carell took a breath. Let him do what no Zelari has ever done. Let him go to the heart tree. Gasps filled the chamber. Grant frowned. What's the heart tree? Carell turned to him. It's the center of the planet's spirit. The oldest, deepest root. If you survive its judgment, the planet may forgive. If not, Grant smiled. Let me guess. It kills me. Yes. He looked at the elders. Sounds fair. One elder growled, No human has ever touched the heart tree. Grant tilted his head. Then it's about time someone tried. The central elder finally nodded. Let the human walk the path of the heart. Another elder added, but he goes alone. Carell's eyes widened. No, he won't survive the jungle. He doesn't know the way. But Grant put a hand on her shoulder. It's all right. She looked at him. You'll die, he smiled. I've done worse hikes. The elders handed him a glowing crystal. This will guide you. If the tree accepts you, return it to us. If not, the vines will tell us. Grant turned to Carell. Thank you for standing up for me. She lowered her head. Come back. Alive, human. He gave her a wink. I'm not done feasting yet. Then he walked out of the chamber toward the wild, angry jungle. The jungle was alive, not with sound, but with intent. Grant could feel it. Every branch seemed to watch him. Every vine shifted when he wasn't looking. The glowing crystal the elders gave him floated just above his hand, pulsing softly, pulling him deeper into the heart of Zelari Prime. He gripped his spear tightly. His body was tired. His legs were cut by thorns. His boots were soaked in glowing swamp water. But he kept walking, because this wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about respect. He didn't mean to insult this world. He only did what any human would do when facing death. But now, he had to prove that humans could understand, not just conquer. Suddenly, the crystal stopped floating. It dropped into his palm cold and still. The trees opened ahead. Grant stepped into a massive clearing. In the center stood something he never expected to see. The heart tree. It was the largest tree he had ever laid eyes on. Its trunk was wide as a mountain, bark made of stone and crystal. Its leaves shimmered with light. Roots stretched like rivers across the land. It was alive in a way no machine or beast could be. It radiated a deep, calm power. And yet, the air around it felt tense, like a storm was hiding in the silence. Grant took a slow step forward. The ground shifted. Vines rose from the soil. Not fast, but steady, like they were waking from sleep. A voice echoed in his mind. Not words, not sound, but meaning. You killed balance. Grant nodded. Yes, I killed the apex. The vines twisted and wrapped around his arms and legs, but gently, like testing his strength. Why? He stared up at the glowing canopy. Because it tried to kill me. I didn't know it was sacred. Ignorance is no shield. He took a breath. Then let me carry the weight. The vines paused. A deep rumble moved through the roots under his feet. Then, a creature rose from the shadows. It looked like the apex, but thinner, made of bark and stone. Its eyes glowed with green fire. This was no beast. It was a creation of the heart tree, a trial. It roared. Grant raised his spear. All right, let's do this. The creature charged. Grant dodged, rolled, and stabbed, but the weapon barely scratched the bark. The beast spun, its tail slamming into him, throwing him into the roots. He groaned, vision spinning, ribs aching. Okay, he muttered, harder than the real thing. The trial beast lunged again. This time, Grant didn't dodge. He slid. Under it, jamming the spear into its neck joint, sparks flew. The creature screeched, but it didn't fall. It turned and grabbed him with a vine-covered claw, lifting him off the ground. Grant choked. The voice returned in his mind. You are not of this world. He coughed. No, but I can still protect it. The tree seemed to hesitate. Grant closed his eyes. Let me show you what humans do when we face impossible odds. With a roar, he yanked the crystal from his pouch and shoved it into the beast's chest. The tree beast froze. The crystal pulsed. The vines around Grant's body loosened. The beast slowly set him down. Then it backed away and melted into the roots. The heart tree pulsed with light. The voice returned softer now. You fought, not to win, but to make things right. Grant nodded, breathing hard. That's what makes us human. The heart tree's branches lifted slightly, like nodding in return. The glowing crystal floated once again, now brighter than before. The forest around him calmed. The air grew warmer. The vines retreated. Flowers opened. The birds returned. Grant looked around in awe. It worked. He turned back the way he came. Back in the Velagi, Carol sat on a stone bench, staring up at the sky. It had been 2 days. The planet had quieted. The green glow from the eye was fading. But still, Grant had not returned. The elders were silent. Some believed he had failed. Some thought he'd been taken by the roots. Others believed the planet had judged humanity unworthy. But Carol, she still believed. A shout came from the gates. Everyone turned. A figure walked through the canyon, dirty, bloody, limping but smiling. Carell ran. Grant. He opened his arms and she crashed into him. You're alive. She breathed. Barely. He said, laughing weakly. But I did it. He held up the glowing crystal. The elders approached slowly, faces unreadable. Grant looked them in the eye. The heart tree accepted me. Silence. Then the central elder spoke, voice low and awed. Then the planet has forgiven. Asterisk. The crystal in Grant's hand glowed with steady light. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, not his, but the planet's. The Zalari villagers gathered around him in silence, eyes wide, mouths open. For the first time in their history, someone had returned from the heart tree's trial alive, and that someone was a human. Carell stood beside Grant, her heart still racing. You did it. You really did it. Grant gave a tired smile. Barely. The central elder stepped forward. Give us the crystal. Grant held it out. But the moment the elder reached for it, the crystal stopped glowing. Everyone froze. Grant looked at it. The light flickered, then returned as soon as it touched his skin again. Carell whispered, It's bonded to you. Another elder murmured, That has never happened before. The central elder stared hard. The heart tree has chosen you. Grant blanked. Wait. What does that mean? Carell looked at him, stunned. It means the planet gave you its mark. You're not just forgiven. You're connected now. Forever. Grant glanced down at the crystal. Its light crawled up his arm, forming faint glowing lines beneath. His skin like roots. The elders turned to each other, whispering fast in their ancient language. After a few moments, they nodded and stepped aside. The central elder spoke loudly so all could hear. Let it be known. The human called Grant is now a bearer of balance. The first in our history. The crowd gasped. Carell looked at him. That's a great honor. Only the planet's chosen are called that. Warriors, peacemakers, protectors. Grant scratched his head. Sounds like a fancy title. She smiled. It's more than a title. It means the forest listens to you now. As if to prove it, a vine slithered from a nearby tree and curled gently around Grant's leg like a friendly animal. It released him and slipped back into the ground. He laughed. Okay, that's weird, but kind of cool. Later that evening, the village held a feast, not just to celebrate Grant's survival, but to mark a new beginning. Torches lit up the canyon. Music played from crystal drums, and wind chimes made of bone and glass. Children danced in glowing sand while the elders watched with calm smiles. Carell sat next to Grant on a stone bench, handing him a cup of glowing fruit water. "You've changed everything." Grant took a sip and winced. "Tastes like mint." "And battery acid," she laughed. "You'll get used to it." He looked around at the happy faces. "You think they really accept me now?" Carell nodded. "You faced the heart tree. You brought balance back. No one can question that." He stared into the fire. "I didn't mean to break your world." "I know," she said. "And now you're part of it." Just then, a younger Zalari girl walked up shyly and handed Grant a flower that glowed faintly pink. He smiled and thanked her. She ran off, giggling. Carell watched him. "You know, most humans would have left the moment trouble started." Grant looked at her. "Yeah, but most humans didn't meet you." She paused, eyes softening. "That's either really sweet or really reckless." He raised his cup. "Why not both?" They both laughed, but far away, beyond the cliffs, past the deep rivers and glowing plains, something stirred. In a dark valley, inside a ruined structure of alien metal, eyes opened, red ones. Not Zalari. Not beasts, not something else. Something that had been watching too. Voice crackled through static inside the dark chamber. "The human has touched the core." Another voice answered. "Then it begins." A tall figure stepped out of the shadows. Half metal, half flesh. Its body pulsed with broken tech, and its hands glowed with dark energy. "Prepare the harvesters," it said. "Earth is next." Back in the village, Grant suddenly stopped laughing. His smile faded. Carell noticed. "What is it?" He looked at the jungle, now peaceful and glowing. "I don't know," he said slowly, "but something just changed." Carell, eyes narrowed. "You felt that?" He nodded. The crystal in his hand had flickered for a second. The glowing lines under his skin dimmed, then brightened again. "The planet," he whispered. "It's warning me." Carell stood. "Then?" "This isn't the end." He looked at her. "No," he said softly. "This is just the calm before the next war." The ground trembled again, but this time, it wasn't the forest reacting. Carell stood with Grant at the edge of the canyon wall. The peaceful jungle stretched out below, glowing softly in the night. But above it, strange black shapes moved. In the sky, cold, sharp, and wrong. "Those aren't Zalari ships," Carell said. "No," Grant said, eyes narrowing. "They're not part of this world." The glowing lines under his skin flickered again. The crystal in his hand pulsed fast. Whatever was coming. The planet feared it. In the distance, one of the dark ships landed in a wide field. The earth cracked open beneath it. Machines poured out, two-legged walkers, flying drones, and tall soldiers with steel skin and red eyes. Carell gasped. "Harvesters," Grant tensed. "You know them?" She nodded. "Stories from the stars. They invade dying planets, strip them bare, and leave only dust. We thought they were a myth." "Well," Grant muttered, gripping his spear, "they're not." Back at the village, the elders gathered the warriors. "They have come to take what is not theirs," the central elder said. "They do not ask, they do not respect." "But we will not kneel," said another. Grant stepped forward. "Let me help." "You are one human," the elder said. "They are many." Carell added, "But he is a bearer now. The planet chose him. That means something." The elder looked at Grant. "Then you lead." Grant blinked. "Me?" "Yes. The planet speaks through you now, and your fire may be what turns the tide." The battle came fast. The machines marched through the jungle, burning trees, draining rivers, killing anything that moved. The animals fled. The vines shrieked and curled away. The balance was breaking again, this time not by accident. Grant led a small group of Zalari warriors through the forest. Carell was beside him, blade ready, her face hard with determination. "Stick to the trees," Grant said. "Strike fast. Disappear faster." They moved like ghosts. Carell leaped from branch to branch, slicing open a drone mid-flight. Another warrior dropped a spiked bomb on a walker, blasting its legs apart. Grant charged head-on, spear glowing with energy. His skin lit up with the planet's light, each strike powered by something deeper than muscle purpose. But there were too many machines. Even as they fell, more came. A huge harvester landed near the heart tree itself, its claws digging into the sacred roots. Carell shouted, "They're trying to kill the planet." Grant's chest burned as the crystal pulsed wildly. He dropped to one knee. Carell grabbed his shoulders. "What is it?" "I can feel it," he gasped. "The tree is in pain." The roots twisted in the distance, unable to defend themselves. Carell looked him in the eyes. "Then do what only you can do." Grant ran through the burning jungle, ignoring the fire, ignoring the pain. He reached the base of the heart tree, where the biggest harvester was anchored. It was draining light directly from the roots. Grant raised the glowing crystal high. The roots answered. They exploded from the ground, ripping apart the machines, tossing metal bodies into the air. Grant climbed one of the roots and jumped straight onto the harvester's back. He slammed the crystal into its core. The machine screamed a deep, mechanical howl. A pulse of green energy burst out from the heart tree, flooding the jungle. Every plant, every creature, every drop of water lit up with the planet's power. The machines froze, then began to melt, their circuits burning from inside out. The harvesters collapsed. The sky went quiet. The jungle breathed again. Later, the forest was calm. The vines returned to the trees. The animals crept out of hiding. The heart tree glowed softly. Healing. Grant stood beneath its branches, bloodied but alive. Carell walked up beside him, her eyes full of quiet respect. "You saved the planet." He looked at her. "No, we saved it." She smiled. "The forest sings your name now." The elders approached. The central elder placed a glowing stone pendant around Grant's neck. "You are no longer just a visitor," the elder said. "You are a child of this world." Carell added, "Will you stay?" Grant looked at the peaceful jungle, then up at the stars. "For a while," he said. "There's still more to learn." She tilted her head. "And after that?" He smiled. "After that? Maybe I'll teach Earth what it means to live with nature, not against it." They stood side by side as the wind whispered through the trees. The planet had changed, and so had the human.